Hello, hello, Rashni. It's so great to have you on this podcast. It's so
Hi, it's great to be here.
in this video. I am so thankful. I'm very thankful that you agreed to do this with me because I know people's time is valuable. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And so if you could first start off by telling me, what made you decide to do this in the first place?
Well, I agreed to this podcast because I love you.
Aww.
I agreed to this podcast because several reasons. First of all, we have history online. I don't know what your listeners know about me, but I'm a YouTuber. I started on YouTube. I'm a video creator. I started on YouTube and now I've transitioned over to YouTube and Facebook. And I actually met you on YouTube years ago because I was searching for someone to read me scriptures every morning. And you used to get up every morning and read scriptures.
Yeah.
I found you and I was hooked. And that was it. We've just been connected online ever since then. So of course, when you asked me to join you on your podcast, of course, I'm going to say yes. And the other reason why is most recently you started your venture into mental health and therapy from a Christian perspective. And of course, if you've been online with me for years, you know that I was diagnosed with depression over 20 years ago. And so of course, that's close to my heart, and anything I can do to help you further that message, help people with their own mental health journeys, I'm going to do it. So that's why I wanted to do this.
I'm so grateful. The Lord knows how much I'm grateful. I don't even have enough words to say thank you for that. Just thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for encouraging me to continue with those scriptures, because it was because of you shouting me out that it improved my watching the viewers. And when it did, it freaked me out because it was like all of a sudden I got all these YouTube hits and people subscribing to me. And that helped me continually do my scriptures every day, because we get discouraged sometimes, like nobody's listening,
like I'm talking to myself.
Right. But
listen, you were talking to me and I had to tell the people I was talking to that you was over there talking about Jesus, and then they went over there and they want to talk about it.
Yeah, so to God be the glory.
Amen.
So can you tell me what actually led you to even doing YouTube videos and becoming an entrepreneur? What led you to do that?
I think you would hope that it was a more structured experience, like I planned it all out, but I didn't. I had a website URL way back in the day. Even though this is a podcast, people can't see me, but let me just tell you, black don't crack. Okay, so I'm not I am. So I had a website a long time ago, a URL, and I just had my resume out there. But because I was working in corporate America, my boss at the time thought it was kind of interesting that I would come to work with a different hairstyle every single day, every week. I was switching it up: braids, wigs, long hair, short hair, whatever. And so she joked around and said, you should start a website about your hair. And I was like, haha, that's so silly. Who would come to that? Which clearly in hindsight, duh. But so one day I decided I'm going to stop wearing my hair relaxed, going to start wearing my hair natural. Why not document it online? Had this URL, slapped it up, bada bing, bada boom, had a website. A few years into that website, somebody commented on my website and said, your writing is funny, which is so ironic to me now because I'm not really a writer, but at the time that's all there was, right? There was no YouTube. There was nothing. They were like, your writing is funny. Well, there was YouTube, but it was new. You should go on YouTube. I bet you're funny on video too. So I don't get that either, because it's funny because people keep seeing things in me. And this is a common thread in my life. I always see in myself. So I'm like, I thought YouTube was cat videos. I mean, I'm talking about like 2007, 6, somewhere. I'm talking about YouTube early, like fresh.
Wow, right.
Because I think YouTube started 2005 or 6, somewhere about there, but like fresh out the gate YouTube. So I was like, I don't get that either. But shortly thereafter, I started looking into why they would want a natural hair person on YouTube. And there was a whole community of people out there sharing pretty much what I was sharing on my website, my journey to my natural hair, loving my natural hair, learning my natural hair, caring for it. in video form, Matt. And if you were on old school YouTube, it was a lot different than it is now. It was very community. This was before people could make money. So there was just a lot of Black women with 2 megapixel cameras in their medicine cabinets,
Right.
sticking all over the place, telling us how to concoct something at the kitchen and make sure that their hair was soft. And I just jumped in. And so I put my first video up. Ironically, I don't know if I have it up still or if it's hidden. My very first video on YouTube was me in the darkness in my guest bathroom because I was afraid. Singing it as well with my soul, which is like hymn. Isn't that ironic? Like the first video I put on the internet was me singing a hymn.
Right.
And then I just went full in. And so that's how all of this started. Of course, I fell in love with video, and the rest is pretty much history because that's where my heart is now.
Wow. And what about becoming an entrepreneur? Because you're an entrepreneur, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so once again, this is something that I stumbled onto, and I still am stumbling into it. People are like, we would like to give you money. Like, we want to support you in some way. And I'm like, I don't understand, you know? And in the past, when I started, I was just doing it for fun. I was doing it for community. And so there was really no way to make money. Then YouTube started their partner program. Right. And the program is how you can get paid to have advertisers run ads on your video. So I think I applied. I think you had to apply back then. I applied, I got in, started making money on my videos. Not that much money, but it was still money coming in off of the videos. And then because I had a website now that I had converted to a blog, because now blogging had come up. Because I started for blogs. Blogging had showed up all of a sudden, converted my content to a blog. And you start finding out like, oh, people will pay you to do this. Or people, well, first of all, it started out with people will send you product, right? So you start getting product. I still get products. I have products in there that was sent to me by a company that pinged me on Twitter just the other day that I'm very happy about because I use their products. And when the box showed up, my husband was like, Jack, we buy those things. And he was like, yeah, girl.
Right.
Companies started sending products. And then first you're so excited to get the products and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you start realizing the time value of your money and you start having a bigger audience and you start realizing, okay, just because somebody sends me shampoo and conditioner doesn't mean I have to do this whole production of a video because that takes time. So then you start realizing, okay, I can get paid to promote this or write a blog post. And so that's really where my entrepreneurial endeavor started online, passively through ads, passively through things like Amazon affiliate links and things like that. And then more actively through sponsored posts. And then more recently through sponsored posts again, right? Because you can ask for a higher dollar amount now because I have a larger audience.
Right.
Passive ads through Facebook specifically because they just started monetizing, and YouTube. And then other small things. I have a t-shirt shop, so I sell t-shirts on the side. And so it once again, it's one of the things where I kind of just like I said at the very beginning, I stumbled into it. It wasn't like I boldly opened the door and said, I am an entrepreneur. I am a video creator. I am a web personality. I was just going about my day and people, I want this from you. And I'm like, oh, you do? I even dabbled in coaching.
Oh, wow.
Well, I started in 2016 and I purposely stopped it last year. And I'm contemplating starting again. And the reason I dabbled in coaching is because interspersed in my online message all these years has been my story. And even though I try to bring joy to the world, I try to be a light, try to be a happy pineapple because I feel like that's my natural personality. I was diagnosed with depression, and that's a real thing. You know what I mean? And so years back, I decided, you know what, instead of pretending like this is not happening, I'm just going to tell people. And I did this depression series like a long time ago. I'm probably like 2008 when nobody was talking about that stuff. And I had so many women inbox me or, message me on different Twitter at the time and say to me, I remember somebody saying, I have never seen a Black Christian woman say I was diagnosed with depression.
That is amazing.
What am I looking at? And even more recently, when I went on my birthday cruise, a lot of the women shared with me that even though they found me, like some of the women that came because of my Glamazini efforts, they shared, even though they found me because of my hair stuff, like they stuck with me because I was talking about mental health issues. So, I dabbled in coaching because people have asked me to help them. People have asked me to guide them, give them tips and motivate them and keep them accountable. And then I decided to stop last year just because my dad was really, really sick and I needed to focus.
Right.
Round it up. But that's really how the entrepreneurship stuff happened. I grew up with parents that have brick and mortar businesses. So I kind of had that as a foundation, but I absolutely did not have the digital space because it's so new, right? It's like there's money to be made here. And I honestly still feel, this might sound crazy saying this, even though I've been online for so long, I still feel new because just last year, for the first time, I feel like I cracked the code on breaking financial goals that I had set for myself. It was like stagnation there. And some of that stagnation had to do with depression, if I'm being honest, and anxiety.
That kind of brings me to my next question. I'm glad you brought that up because my question is, have you managed to deal with your depression? How have you managed? I know that there's people that are coming to you and we're coming to you because you were mentioning it. And I've heard you mention it in some of your videos before. And I used to get really amazed by your presence on YouTube and the way that you show yourself on YouTube, because it was hard for me to see, like, man, she has such a wonderful personality. And I was curious as to how you manage your depression being on YouTube.
Okay, I was at the therapist yesterday, ma'am. Made an appointment for next Friday. That's the first thing, okay? Keep your therapist on lock.
Right, yes.
Nothing wrong with it. All right, listen, God gave us wonderful human beings that are educated in how to walk us through this swamp. And let me say this, and once again, if anybody knows me online, especially if you know me in more of like my private groups and stuff, I'm a dichotomy, right? Because I am a person who is very like upbeat and jovial, but at the same time, I have been living with mental illness, major depressive disorder, diagnosed by a psychiatrist, not something I just came up with out of my hair, sat in a person, and this has been a consistent diagnosis for 2 decades, right? And so I can get really deep, about to get kind of deep. I feel like we are 3 parts, right? We are a spirit, we have a soul, and we exist inside of this physical frame, right?
Amen.
When I look at my depression, I have to attack it in a 3-part way. This was not something, once again, I came up with actively. This was something I stumbled on up into, like I just be stumbling on up into stuff. And I have to give God glory for it, because sometimes I think God is like pushing me up into the stuff that I'm stumbling into.
Right, right.
And so what first started happening, the first breakthrough was telling people this is what was going on. Honestly, when I look back on it, and that was a breakthrough in my soul, in my mind, and my will and emotions. Instead of being like, I'm happy, I'm doing all these videos, everything's fine. No, everything is not fine back here.
Right.
Tell y'all the truth, okay? So that if I disappear for a month, y'all know when I come back, I don't have to now be like, oh, well, that typical YouTube video where everybody's like, oh, I know you guys, I know I haven't made a video in a while. And they're just being all kind of weird and vague. No, I'm on the video and be like, y'all, the way this depression is set up, I'm not to sleep. Like I would just tell people the truth. And it was such a big breakthrough, and it took so much pressure off of me. And so it was like gradual things. Like I said, I've been in and out of therapy probably for over a decade. And consistently, this last stretch, I have intentionally been going to an individual therapist, probably just under 7 months-ish to an individual therapist consistently. And I told her yesterday, because I missed her, this was the first one back since the holidays, and I went out of town. I was like, listen, we about to hit the ground week, like every week.
Right.
Couple months a year, just because I need to win. Like 2019, I need to win. Like in my mind, she's
Amen.
you know what I mean? She's partnered with me on this thing. I want to get all this stuff out of the way. I want to do the work that I need to work on so that I can, get toward the things I want to get. So it's like handling the stuff from a spiritual level, handling the stuff from a soul level, and handling the stuff from my body. And the body stuff was the last component with my diet last year. And I say that because even though I had been doing a lot of things with my diet, I figured something out last year that like literally it was like the last pieces of puzzle. And a lot of that work that people, so I guess to answer your question, I started being honest with the people that I was serving through my content would be the first thing. And I'm not 100% honest because I don't tell everybody. I tell everybody all the time, listen, this team tells some, keeps some. There's some stuff going on.
Yes.
Like, what? The glory and God played a real. Y'all gonna be like, there is no way that woman had joy in a situation. But listen, when the world doesn't, when you figure out how to get the joy that the world don't give, I'm about to preach. No, I'm not. Like when your joy is coming from external stuff, a lot of depression when it comes to your and please stop me because you done hit the goal. This is my topic, but
mine's too.
It can come from a skewed or an unhealthy expectation and viewpoint. Like there's a lot of that. There's physiological stuff too. Don't get me wrong. That absolutely plays a part in it, right? Brain chemicals, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of the soul work and the spirit work is about changing how you approach this thing called life and learning how you learned to approach it and how those things might be unhealthy and contributing to your weird expectations when you step out into the world. Listen, if you start looking at life from a different perspective, you start getting real happy and real grateful. Okay. Yes. Like if you stop looking at life from an entitled perspective and you start digging back on, why do I feel like I should have this? Why do I feel like this person must treat me this way?
Right.
I'm so offended, all that kind of stuff. Listen, when you start realizing they don't have to treat you like they don't have to.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like you don't have to have this. I don't have to have this. My hand don't have to work. You don't have to have a house. It's freezing outside this morning when I put my son on the bus. I'm sitting in here inside of a house with you, electricity. There's like, when you start looking at it differently, all of a sudden you start getting real joyous.
Yes. Amen.
It starts peeling off of you. And that's some of the work that people are afraid to do because some of that work has to do with going back to painful things that got you to where you're thinking in a certain way, or questioning current environments that you may be allowing yourself to be in, like all that kind of stuff. And I had been doing stuff for years, and I am the queen of the praying and fasting. Listen, probably 2016, man, God had me. I was in this Esther thing with this one lady I found online, and I was doing like detox baths every night, and I had changed how I was eating. And I was waking up with like dreams and visions. Girl, God had me weeping on the bathroom floor. Talking about like with like revelations of like, oh my goodness.
Exactly.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like this 3-part work that you have to do. And then of course, like I said, the physiology of it, the exercise, taking care of yourself, paying attention to how what you put in your body affects you when it comes to your mental health, because your brain is an organ.
Absolutely.
Physical thing up in your head.
Right.
And therefore, when you are putting certain things in, they can be doing all kind of stuff up in your body that contributes. So it's funny because sometimes I look back on videos, and I will look back on some of my videos and be like, oh, I feel like I see the sadness in my eyes. And I always think, oh, I wonder if other people saw that too. But then I think, you know what? Listen, it probably helped somebody.
Yes.
The reality of this is me at this current stage where I am in my life. And probably even now, you know what I mean? I'm not 100% now because I have that diagnosis, and it's something I have to manage. Because even though I've gotten on top of, thank God, the physiological stuff, there's still situational stuff.
Right, absolutely. And actually, you when you were talking, I was listening to you when you spoke about God. How is your spirituality affecting the way you live your life anyway? How is that the way you run your business, the way you present yourself on YouTube? How does your spirituality, come into play?
I'm going to have to stand before God. Everything that I do or say,
Amen.
a filter.
Oh, yes.
I know a lot of people are like, man, you say a lot of stuff online and this and that other. Listen, every word that you hear come out of my mouth on a video, I think about, will I be able to be okay with this? Am I getting it right all the time? No, I'm not. If you want to listen, full disclosure, every video I've put on Facebook, somebody's gotten mad at me. People have been mad at me talking about beaches, Obama. They get mad about me. People went off on me about mangoes. I mean, people just get mad.
Yeah.
But if I, you know what I mean? But if I literally think, is God okay? God, you okay with it? Like, I'm always having, listen, I'm not gonna say is God okay, because I really be having the first person time. Are you okay with this?
Yeah.
You with that? And it's always funny because a lot of people from my church, that's when it gets you. When the people from church start walking up to you. When I was on YouTube, I was over there in my little YouTube corner.
Right.
Now I'm on Facebook and I go to church and like little old women are coming up talking about, you crack me up. And I'm like, I feel like if I don't move, they can't see me. I'll be like, what? Girl, you on the book face? You on the book of face? Girl, you on the book of face? Girl, what you doing on the book of face? I swear to God, like, it happens all the time. You crack me up. I was watching the video and I was giggling, and I'm like, who taught you how to use the book of face, girl?
And that's what I say about you. You really make me laugh all the time, and I get especially if there's a moment where I'm down. If your video, I would put that notification on YouTube because I wanted to know as soon as you posted a video. And then, of course, when life got really busy, I haven't been on YouTube as much as normal. But I'm glad that you're on Facebook, because when I see you pop up on there, that's what I'm doing. I'm just sitting there listening to that video. And it does. I need to laugh. I really need to laugh. And especially in the field of work that I'm in, being a therapist does not keep me from going through spells of my own. So
I realize too that when I am making humor is an interesting concept to me. This is me being the intellectual, right? Because humor is about finding common life experiences, like the ridiculousness of life, and it's a joint experience. The fact that I can make you laugh means that you understand because you have shared something with me in this life, right? And that's why humor is subjective, and that's why you might go to another country and that person might not understand the joke, and so it's a complex thing, and it's interesting to me. But the way that I keep my God in what I'm doing online is I don't go for the jokes that won't please him, because trust me, I can. They come in my head. They come in my head. There have been videos go through my timeline and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I could make a video about this and I could make money off this video. You know what I mean? I could pay off this video, but I can't think of a way to do it that would please God. You know what I mean? Because content or the jokes, either the content itself is questionable, or the jokes that I come up with in my mind, I'm like, no, I'm not even gonna go down that line. And so there's a lot of like that, like self-correction, which honestly is harder because I feel like I watch a lot of people online and they it's easier to make people laugh when you're crass and you are cursing and crass and that kind of thing. And it takes a little bit more thought and complexity to bring a common experience without kind of that ridiculous burst of like, I just said a curse word. I just said a crass word. You wouldn't expect it. So that's part of how I do that.
So Rashni, you have different platforms. How can people connect with you, and connect with you on social media and things like that?
Absolutely. I am Glamazini everywhere. Glamazini. So that is, I'm most active on Facebook. You can find me there, facebook.com/Glamazini, and on Instagram, instagram.com/Glamazini. And of course, YouTube, my first love, youtube.com/Glamazini. But I am Glamazini everywhere. So on Twitter, I also have Glamazini.com, which is my blog. And I'm on Pinterest, but not that much. So don't go over there because I don't update Pinterest. Yeah, so that is pretty much how you can find me online. And if you want to message me, the easiest way is Instagram or Facebook messages. I check them very often now. I used to not check my Facebook messages because I had some viral videos and my inbox went a little crazy. With the help of Jesus, I got through that with my time blocking. That's exactly how I cleared out that inbox. Now I have zero anxiety about these viral videos and this inbox situation that happened. So you can totally find me there on Facebook.
And, I know this is not something that you may do, but I'm going to do it because I just think you're amazing in general. But people can also support you monetary through Patreon. Glamazini is patreon.com/Glamazini, I believe.
Yeah.
If I'm saying it
Yeah.
right.
So, okay, you're right. So I'm not going to do that because I have a Patreon. Once again, something that was started because somebody was like, I want to support you. And I was like, but I did it. And over the years, I have been quite quiet about it, but I do have several patrons. And what I do is you go to patreon.com/Glamazini and there's, levels that you can support me on or whatever. It's out there. You can read how to do it. And then whenever somebody becomes a patron, I add them to a Facebook group because it was kind of hard and prohibitive to be on Patreon's actual platform. Plus it was an extra platform and everybody's on Facebook, right? So instead of having people have to check this other place, I just add them to the Facebook group. And honestly, I'm in there chatting. I do giveaways and stuff. I just be in there with the patrons, like chatting it up. A lot of times they're the ones that I bounce ideas off of, or like they see videos. Like there's a video that's been sitting in my YouTube unlisted for probably a week and a half. I probably need to launch this video, but they've seen it. Like whenever I put a video on the internet, they're the first people to see it, whether everybody else sees it or not. I'll ask them ideas. When I was doing my cruise, they were the first people I told, the first people I asked, what do you think about the cruise? I put t-shirt ideas. They're like the people I chat with, like about my Glamazini stuff. Like, what do you think about this? Is this ridiculous? I've given away all kinds of stuff. Companies send me stuff. So anyway.
Thank you again, Rashni.
Thank you for having me. This was wonderful.
Yes, I enjoyed it more than ever. But we'll be talking soon. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, hon.